Hey guys, welcome to Fluid Connections, our channel, living life fluidly. Wanted to do a part 2 to speaking about inner peace. Again, based on that verse, Colossians 3:15. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you are called into one body, and be thankful. I want to be a little bit more vulnerable today and share a backstory, kind of close to my heart. This happened way a while back, and it was a time where I was actually falsely accused, and actually it led to an arrest. Very devastating for my family. I spent a night in jail. The jail was actually so packed at this time that they didn't have room for so many inmates. They ended up putting me in a room that was filled with maybe 9 people. It was more like a waiting room overnight completely. There was one bathroom shared open. There was no place to even rest your head. People were using toilet paper rolls as a pillow. And again, I stayed there maybe 15, 16 hours overnight. I want to touch on that. There's some things that it was devastating. I was more so concerned for my wife and kids. It was very much a shock to them. It didn't matter the testimony at the time. The police went with the accuser, and again, I could say the whole time I thought about my wife and kids. I was concerned for them. I was scared for them. I knew they were scared. They were confused by why it even happened. They were there at the moment, and that's why it was so confusing for them, because it was a complete false statement. But the most amazing thing that I want to say about it all is I was not concerned or in fear of being there. I mean, there were some hard convicts. There was people that were being put in there because they were running away from the police. They had drugs in their pocket. They were certain types of drugs that was going to land them 10 to 15 years in prison. And they were just waiting for the next court date and the transfer. Right from the beginning, what was laid on my heart was to just immediately go into prayer, asking God for His presence. Not to save me necessarily. I knew it was going to work out, because God turns all things around for good to those that love Him. That's found in Romans 8:28, by the way. But what I'm saying is, there is a place you can get to where truly your identity becomes the eye of the hurricane, where you just have so much inner peace. It's overflowing out of you. I stood there the whole time. There was no place for me to rest. I thought about my wife. I was surrounded by all these guys trying to share stories, outdo each other. I just stayed in peace. I felt like I made that prison my heaven. There's this quote, it's my favorite quote. It's from Chris Valentin. You could take a pauper and put him in that palace, he'll turn it into a prison. But take a prince and put him in a prison, and he'll make it into his palace. And what that means is, you're constantly illuminating your identity from within you, what you believe you are. I knew who I was. I knew who my Papa God is. I knew my identity. And what I needed was His presence. I needed Him to be with me. And He was. I felt His presence, His peace so much the whole time. To the point where the guys started questioning me. They were like, oh, I'm not gonna, they thought I was some hardcore criminal. They were like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to mess with this guy here. And they were just wanting to know my story. And I just stood quietly, just stood there the whole time. I didn't pray for myself. I spent the whole time praying for my wife and my kids, for peace for them. And towards the end, towards the last hour maybe, I started speaking up to the guys there and getting to know them. I met this one fellow. I started praying for him because he seemed like he wanted out of this cycle and wanted a better life between him and his girlfriend. But it was such a unique experience to me that made me realize just the power of His presence. And that's something that you guys can have. You don't have to go to a specific location. You could have that in your home. You could have that now in your drive, in your workplace. It's just asking for His presence. He wants to spend time with you so much, because He's real and He's amazing and He's love and He's peace. He wants to spend so much time with you that the atmosphere around you will change. because you can change the atmosphere. You could be the eye of the hurricane wherever you go, where there could be chaos. It could be a crazy day. Maybe people called off work, or there's just a bad day at work or at home. But you can have the peace that changes the atmosphere, that could change the outcome. So I hope this encouraged you. I wanted to share that story and bring it home and make it real for people. Sometimes it's easier said than done. You could say a really nice quote, but okay, how does that really apply to life? And that's how I applied it at that day. That was both devastating and very illuminating. Again, it's about Jesus loves you so much, and he's the one that can give you the peace, which is what that verse is based off of. So I'm praying peace for you guys right now, that you guys could experience his presence, his love, and his joy in every area of your life. Thank you so much again for tuning into our channel. Feel free to, I love hearing people's comments. It's encouraging to me. I love the feedback and constructive criticism as well. Any questions as well, I love to answer them, at least for the time being. And thank you, and have an awesome day. Bye-bye.